Hi, this is Mary from Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project. Don't tell me, is that rain? I don't feel anything. Rain.
That's my hard hat.
I must have deleted.
Hi, guys. Let me get over here so I can read your comments. Ooh, okay. Got a pretty good crowd in here. Jeff, I saw you were the first one in. Good to see you. Robert. Hey, Bob. Deb. Let's see who else. Oh, Bob F. from Zelienople. Good to see you. Welcome. Yeah, you're not that far from me. I'm over in Lawrence County, just outside of Newcastle. Where the heck is Patty Fry? She should be getting in here pretty soon. Bob, you're supposed to be hunkering down. And as you guys can see, different background here. There was a glitch in the matrix again. And so I am upstairs in Lou's office using his computer. But, okay. And it's working really well. And we'll just do what we got to do. Okay. So there was a little confusion, unfortunately, with a guess. Hey, Melvin. Good to see you. Oh, okay. Yeah, Robert. Greg Howse will be in. He and Todd Smith from New York, but and I'm sure. Well, we'll get Greg to talk about the meet and greet in Alabama. But in the meantime, originally we were supposed to have Todd Smith and Larry, who is retired Army and Navy and terms himself as a boat guy. If any of you are military recognizes the term, SWCC, which is what I originally had on the podcast title. Unfortunately, Larry had to work this evening. Hey, and so I called on Greg, and Greg was, great. He just jumped right in and said, sure, he'd join us. And I'm so happy that he was able to. And I'll be bringing him in just a couple minutes. And looks like Todd isn't in yet, but that's all right. I have a couple pieces of business to get over first. There's a couple of events coming up. We're winding down near the end of the season. So let's see. On October 12th, the Bigfoot Family Day at the Bigfoot Outpost. That's the Bigfoot Outpost at Chestnut Ridge. It's Bigfoot Family Day. The address is 695 Bear Rocks Road, Acme, Pennsylvania. It's going to be all day, good time. If you're able to get up there, it's up on the mountain. Hey, how you doing, Mark? And next on October 26th, it is the Creatures of the Watershed. It's a nature festival. And I talked my way into it. It's a bunch of wildlife biologists, naturalists, and so on in a local area. Big Sewickley Creek Volunteer Fire Department, Sewickley, Pennsylvania. And I talked them into letting me set up a booth, and I will talk about Bigfoot in the area. So I was very happy that they were able to get me in there, and it's wonderful. So should be fun. Should be really fun. All right. Let's see. I am all discombobulated because things are not where I expect them, where they usually are at my desk. Okay. Tell you what, we'll just get right on down to business. Great to see a nice crowd here. All right, hold on a second. Hold on. Now, I'm going to give you a little introduction here. Greg Howse is from Alabama. Great guy, fantastic. He has just a couple little stories to tell. Not really stories, but experiences to share. Misty. Aw, good to see you here, Misty. But yeah, Greg has a few experiences to share. And as soon as Todd gets in, I'll introduce he and Greg, and we'll see how the conversation goes. All right, and drum roll. Hi, Greg.
Y'all.
Good. How are you doing? Thank you
Doing pretty
for
good.
joining.
See if I can get this thing where y'all can see me. Yep, doing pretty good. We had still recuperating from the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a massive turnout at our meet and greet. So had
That's wonderful.
A lot of folks showed up. Hate one of our favorites didn't make it. That would be you. So, but hey.
Aw, I know I wanted to come so bad. I really did, but yeah. Oh well, finances just didn't allow that.
Yeah.
Next year.
Well, everything right now is so expensive. My Lord, it's high.
Yeah. Yep. So anything going on down at your place?
Hadn't had anything really going much. Last week, Misty before the meet and greet, Misty and her husband JR came by and hung out with me a couple of nights. They got here on Tuesday, and then we all left Thursday and went on down to the campground. But yeah, they we heard some stuff way off, and me and Misty heard a real crisp tree knock. I think it was that Thursday morning, about probably 3 o'clock in the morning. But nothing like usual. I mean, nothing real dramatic. I mean, they didn't, of course, beat on the cabin or anything. So
No. Pretty quiet then.
yeah, it has been for a little while. That's the way it goes. It goes in spurts. We'll have something happen, and then it'll just kind of fade away for a few days or a couple of weeks, and then it'll come back.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So.
Yeah, that's usually the way it is around here too. It'll be quiet, although probably longer periods than your place. It'll be quiet, and then all of a sudden, there'll be some vocals, but they're not real vocal. And fortunately, they don't beat on my house where I'm at currently.
Yeah, that's people don't realize what it's like. I mean, to have these things around you, but they really don't know what it's like when they come up and push on your walls and hit on the walls and steal stuff off your porch. It's kind of different.
Yeah, it is. Although the ones over at my other place, they never, as far as I know, no, they never stole anything off the porch. But they would beat on the walls and peek in the windows, and no, it's not pleasant to go through. And I don't know why there's people that I think they romanticize it, or else they just don't realize the stress that it puts you through. That hey, I'm sorry, but there's these monsters outside of my house. And I haven't a clue how they're going to react if I happen to wander outside while they're there or take my dog out. while they're there. Yeah, you just don't know.
No, that's what I try to tell people. They're unpredictable. To me, they're totally unpredictable. And you just have to. For me, I mean, I just try to play it safe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna go outside and try to hug one of the damn things.
No. No. No, me neither. It's about the only time I did purposely go outside while they were there was, I think everybody knows that the one pissed me off and I chased after him with a golf club.
Oh my goodness. That would not have been up in the choice, is all I say.
No, but it was there and I was angry and first thing at hand to pick up. So that's what I got. Fortunately, he ran off.
Yes. Definitely fortunate.
Yeah.
That so you got another guest coming on?
Yeah. Todd Smith, he's from New York. And he'll probably pop in a few minutes because I think I told him about 7:45. I was able to zip through my intro a little bit quicker than usual and got through everything. There really wasn't, it's the end of the year. There's not too many more events coming up. And, it's just like I said, all my stuff is down in my office. And I'm up here in my husband's office and everything's different. I don't have all my notes.
I'll tell you, Barry, it amazes me, and I'm really kind of envious of y'all's group up there because it's like y'all have something all the time, some type of festival, conference, or something.
Yeah. Yeah, Pennsylvania is pretty good for that. Eastern Ohio and Western Pennsylvania over into Central Pennsylvania. Not so much in Eastern PA. Around Philadelphia. There's really not much going over there. And I'm always hearing people saying, from that end of the state, yeah, hey, why don't you come over here, hold a festival here? And I tell them, you set it up. You set it up and I'll come. Yeah. I'll be happy to come. But no, we are real fortunate that it's popular here. And it's like a quarter of the counties here in Western Pennsylvania, there'll be a festival or a conference or something going on. We've got a very active group of people who set these up, and it's just wonderful.
Wow. Like on some of those festivals, I mean, if you had to guess, what would be the average turnout for people to come through in a day? Do you have any idea?
In the spring and summer, there's a larger crowd. The one festival, I think, brought in right around 50,000 people. But that was, the biggest one of the year. After that, it's maybe a few hundred, something like that. There was
50,000 people.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was the Forest County Bigfoot Festival, and I think this is their third or fourth year, and I was their keynote speaker during their first year, and then I attended the second year. I skipped the third year and I returned this year. And Turtle Man was there, and it was fantastic. Cliff Barackman was also there, and him I pretty much ignored. I wanted to see Turtle Man.
Hey, my son growing up was a big fan of Turtle Man. We had to always watch Turtle Man.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. I was able to catch him on the last day of the show. He was packing up, he and his wife, and I was heading out and caught him and had a pretty good conversation with him. So I was quite happy about that.
Wow.
And yeah, Todd was there also, Bigfoot New York Todd, who is backstage, and I will bring him forward. Hey, Todd.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good. Todd,
Yeah.
this is Greg. Greg,
Hey,
Todd.
how are you?
Man, doing good. How about you?
Excellent. Bear with me. Man, I thought I had myself all lined up. I'm going to try. Oop, oop. Yeah, there we go. I'm trying not to blind us with my shop lights, but yeah, I was watching a bunch of your videos this afternoon as I worked to kind of catch up with what you do, Greg, and that was awesome, man. What an honor to be in the area that you're at, and the talent, the mentors that you have, and I'm sure it goes both ways for you guys with Kumbo and stuff. Wow.
Yeah, man. I was just really blessed to be when I finally did get in touch with the researcher, and it was by accident. And it was Bill White that the researcher. Man, he researched for over 50 years,
Wow.
and then he put me in touch with Kumbo, and man, we just hit it off from the get go. And Kumbo just kind of adopted me like a little brother.
Yeah.
That's
Man,
cool.
just the group of guys, man, that I got through in the inner circle to learn about this stuff from and to talk with. And I felt like I hit the super lotto as far as Bigfoot research.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, I didn't know all these people. And now, then that blossomed into meeting people like Mary Fabian, and I
Yep.
met her through Kumbo, and but just all these other guys, and and how many people that I know now, it's unreal.
It is, and the question whether this creatures exist just with us researchers, just the amount of people and compelling stories that we have. I mean, it's enough to convict somebody of murder for a long time,
Yes, definitely.
And I've been blessed to meet Mary too, and I met her at the Marionville Bigfoot Festival. Finally, the last day, I think I tracked her to her truck as she was loading, and she had that 150, and the way she had that sleep quarters dialed in, her husband had made her these fold down steps, and boy, you really respect some good craftsmanship and ingenuity.
Yeah.
I miss that truck.
I bet you do.
Yeah.
It
Very
was
much.
right when you were ready to go home, but at least I was able to meet you, and I've enjoyed the friendship greatly ever since.
Same here.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So now
I just had a what got you into Bigfoot?
The typical stuff, the Leonard Nimoy, and as a little kid, I wasn't really growing up around with a hunt and outdoor influence, but I knew as a little boy I wanted to be an explorer. So I was always interested, but it was, honestly, it was the finding Bigfoot when they started coming to New York for things. It's like, and I'm a researcher. And at the same time, I was looking for a hunting lease. I wanted to buy some land. So I'm in Western New York, long ways from that other New York. I mean, you want to insult us Western New Yorkers, you relate us. Sorry, I don't mean to be anything against those guys, but it's a different world, and we're country folk, and it's different. It's not a whole lot different than Pennsylvania, but looking for a place that we could, 4-wheel at, bogus adventures, hunt, and I hooked up with this timber company, and they would have these parcel leases, good tracts of land, and you could set up, your camper, and you could improve the site a little bit. And it was a reasonable lease, and so I wanted to scout a bunch of land. So I put they allowed me to run my ATV, so I loaded that up in the truck, and every weekend, man, I'd hit some land, and I could speed scout. And I'm sure you're a deer hunter, and you get good enough after a while. You apply the same skills to Bigfoot, and you can see things all animals leave sign of what they do. It's so many parallels. And at the same time was when we liked watching Survivor Man, and he was on with Todd standing and the tree structure. So now here I am running that southern tier in New York, and I'm starting to see this stuff and in different places. And then one thing led into another, and then with investigating one of the structures, just trying to figure out, now, how did that tree get, let's see, that tree's put in here. Wait a minute. Those are roots up there. Now, I'm not saying I ever saw them take some big tree and plant it upside down with the roots. In fact, I don't think a lot of that's real. Loggers did that to get something to anchor off of, to pull themselves through the mud, or screwing around, or as a landmarker or a street sign, just like Bigfoot does. So we had some areas, which I'll tell you, baffles my mind. It's right outside Cornell University. And part of it's, I think it's Robert Treatment Park, where they did the, it's not the Merlin book of birds like Bear and Coonbone talk about, the owl and the trill at the end. So where that audio survey, much of it was done, was right there. And they're still doing it when you tool around. You know, they had to filter through some stuff, and we started seeing stuff, and then finally tracks, and leased this property right border of Pennsylvania, Potter County, PA, Allegheny County, New York, and huge hunting lease. And I remember that first week up there, my son's like, "Man, Dad, aren't you glad there's no sign of Bigfoot here?" Yup. Me too. Yep. Shortly after that, the guys are like spooked about going in the woods in the dark. They're not young men to get spooked like that. And I remember having that conversation. I just talked to one of them last night. Boys, we're the apex predator in the woods. And yeah, a couple of weeks later, we interrupted their organized deer drive. And great thing for cell phones and texting of what we were experiencing and how these creatures were communicating between, the rock clacking, the owls, owl hooting, and then really complacent owls who, and then they turned into chickens, bark, 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 and then really bad pig impressions. And then one of the guys actually saw one while we're all on the edge of this valley. The only reason we hunted that, which I'd already set up tree stands, but you know how it is, you stick a deer, they go down. And this thing was nasty, but since everybody was there, had the right equipment, we're going to hunt that edge because we got our ways to get it out. And to this day, I still study this. In fact, I was talking to the farmer yesterday, this organized deer drive that they do there, reinforced, and I call it the kill box at the end. Mary's seen the hair. It continues and continues to produce the long hair. I mean, right down to blonde hair I'm pulling off the same barbs off the edge of the same wild cherry tree, the same barb, because I can tell that, I have to untwist it some, and I'm a fence guy. And the same blonde hair. I mean, it's that creature's exact hunting spot. And it always snags from the forest side in. So therefore, they're coming into haste and leaving a different way. And then they have this lateral blind that they keep adding to. And as an old Civil War reenactor, they're like a hasty works. And it's just amazing. You can see them starting to redirect trees, funneling. Yeah, so, now there's lots of sightings and stuff since then. Doug Highcheck says I have the largest collection of handprints, and I really believe I do, and sebum prints. And Mary knows, she's been over there. Well, her truck got tagged.
Yeah.
It all started with this one on the camper window, and since then I've really been not perfecting, but coming up different ways of getting latent prints and lifting the latent prints to now I'm down to, I call it the Alba Vernix Curiosity Catcher, and I'm using polycarbonate, putting it over the frequent flyer surfaces at this particular home.
Yeah.
And I can get the handprints now. I can pull it off, but it's gone a step further. And then I'll stop hogging the conversation.
I'm sitting here amazed. I mean, got my full attention.
I'm passionate about it because of all the neat stuff that's happening. So I have a box over there to send to Doug of so I got to dig it out. I put my dinner on it. So with this clear polycarbonate, like an overlay over the windows. So the first time, for the heck of it, with the blue tape I was using around it, it's like, well, we all never tried. So I just made this big graphic handprint out of the tape, being goofy. Well, before the evening was over, I had a left hand print next to this big cartoon one. Then I started drawing hands. That's one of my earlier curiosity catchers. And I'm getting, I can't get used to the screen being backwards, hands within my hands responding to my cueing. Then, in being reminded of this, of the nose, I suspect, well, I drew the hands with a face and a nose, and now I'm getting to do that. In fact, where they'll come up to where the nose is, and they'll touch it and they'll swirl it. It's amazing. Mary's been there.
Yeah.
I've dusted the prints off of hers, and back to Baron Kubo. I really think, especially that night when Mary was there, it was like it was counting coup. They ran through and tagged a bunch of, a vehicle in the driveway, a garage, her vehicle, her tonneau cover, like a drum, did a thump. We all heard that. Set off the infrared approach alarm, something like from Harbor Freight. And they knew that was there, and a ding dong, and then a handprint somewhere else. Well, we're all there.
Yeah.
It's a small
We're on
house.
the porch.
Yeah. It's like they're being dared. That back room window, I lifted some really nice prints, dusted it, and I was able to photograph, especially at night with UV light or something that picks up better. By the end of the weekend, there was 5 different sets of handprints on this window. Like it's a game. And while I'm down there doing all this work, there's a thump on the back porch. You kind of go responding, running to that. And obviously they're seeing us, triangulating on us, which I always think they do, minimum of 3. It's like in this experiment, who's the monkey? I am. They're making me run everywhere.
Yeah.
I learn something all the time. And whenever I think well, there's our habituation people right there just sent me a text. I get schooled all the time. It's humbling. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
They make it fun. They drive you crazy, especially at the habituation area.
Yeah.
And I know that back window, I was supposed to sleep in that bedroom that night, and I'm glad I didn't.
I was trying to get you to sleep in there in the camper.
Yeah, well, they probably saw me moving around in that bedroom, and but then I changed my mind and went up into the front room,
which is not safe either.
Yeah, I know, it's wide open.
Did you hear that audio? Robin put her phone on the window, and you could. So Greg has a wheelchair ramp in the front of the house. This thing, you can hear 5 steps, dum dum dum, coming up this, what do you call it, 5-quarter decking. And it's on one of these ramps that I don't think a sharpshooter could stay on because they might fall off of. I'm being facetious here. You hear it walk up, slap, slap, and it runs off. And that would be right next to the sliding glass door where you would have been sleeping.
Yes.
I don't think they care.
No, they don't. They don't.
And I've never seen one there. Well, I've seen the red eyes, and I've seen them in the shadow very close, like the absence of light, you know.
They'll slap that ramp. I've heard them do that a few times.
It's so. Let me ask you, Greg. You've probably experienced this. So this house will get slapped. So I've been in that chair that she was referring to, that recliner. So it's a ranch, and that house gets slapped so hard you can hear the energy being transmitted around the top sill plate, and I should know what that is. The header around the house to the doorway, and the header right above me. You can hear the creak go around the house. So there's that much energy, right, being transferred. And you know what delicate siding is and flashing. That's just, you know, aluminum tin. There's never any kind of there's not even handprints there, but
no.
To be so powerful to frankly do this with the house, in a sense, with the force, there's never any sign of impact. How do they do that?
I don't know how they do it. Now one of I don't know, I guess it was the last time that they really done anything on my cabin here. Troy Allen came, I don't know, a few weeks after that, and he found some places on my siding, and what I used for siding on this was regular roofing metal. You know, it's got the rib like every 12 inches.
Yep.
All right. He found a couple of places on it that it's the actual rib is kind of crinkled.
That takes a lot.
Now I didn't get a slap. That was more like, to me, I could hear the studs in the wall, and I could, like the plate, I could hear and see. When I built this, it's a cabin, so it's 2x6 studs, and it's OSB 7/16 inside and out, and then house wrap, and then metal. So this thing's built like a tank. But I could hear. I was sitting in my recliner, and on that end wall, I could hear it. It just sounded like something was pushing, and I could hear like the lumber was cracking, not like breaking, but it was putting pressure, and you could hear like everywhere it was a joint. You could tell it was pressure, like making it flex.
Yeah, like things twisting from the floor up in a corner.
Yeah, I've heard that at my other house also.
Wow.
Yeah, it sounded, I think, of a house settling, but it didn't just like crack, and quit. No, it lasted for 60 seconds probably. And it was like, to me, it was like I could picture something either just putting its hands or either putting its back on the wall and pushing back on it. And the whole end of the house now, and this thing is 1,200 square feet. It's a 30 by 40 cabin.
Nice.
But to go back to what you were talking about, I've had them hit this end wall, and they'll hit it so hard that I can be sitting in my recliner and I can feel it. It'll make the whole cabin shake.
Yep. That last time it hit it so hard, you know how you get scared, the hair back of your neck or your arms, you'll have the paleo erection. And when it did that, I never had it happen. The hair on my legs stood up. It spooked me. Like I never had that sensation. It was like really primal.
The one thing that really spooked me, it's been back in the spring, but it was coming a slow rain. The wind was basically not blowing at all. And I was sitting in my recliner right here, and across my recliner is kind of on the center south part of the cabin. Well, I've got a big porch on the north side, and I was sitting here. This is like 2 a.m. in the morning, and I thought to start with that when I say a tree limb, I'm talking about like one big as a man's leg hit the roof. I thought, golly. But the thing about it, this initial kawoom on the roof, it didn't just kawoom and quit. That the kawoom starts making basically a cadence, goes up the roof line, comes over the peak, comes down the roof line, and it's like to-doom, 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 to-doom. And in my mind, I'm picturing the cadence of a silverback gorilla, like when they run, and it's like hands and feet, and they're kind of going sideways.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard that.
I'll listen to that thing, and I don't mean like faintly. It's like shaking the whole place, to-doom, 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 and it goes over the roof and comes down, and the damn thing stopped directly over my chair. I'm talking about if I had to. Now look, dude, when this thing's going to-doom, 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 I'll reach over and grab a Smith & Wesson 686 357 combat revolver.
Nice.
Jerk it out of the holster, and I'm sitting in my recliner and I'm aiming at the ceiling, and I back the hammer because I don't know what's about to happen.
Yeah, you know, those are really small holes to plug, a little cock.
That's what I'm saying. But hey, dude, thing stops and it gets dead silent. And it's about 60 seconds. I told everybody a good minute. I'm guessing 60 seconds. And where it came in, like, say if it came in at like 10 o'clock, it came in and over the roof, and it stops over me. When it left at like 1 o'clock and ran like where it came up and over. Like this is the roof. It came up and over. When it left ran down.
Oh.
It didn't go up and down. It ran down the roof line and went off the end wall. And that's the end wall where it exited is where they usually hit the wall. And dude, I was in, you know, I had ankle replacement and all this.
Ooh.
I was laid up. I couldn't go out and look, which I wasn't going out that night anyway. But a few days later, my buddy Troy Allen came, which is like a brother to Kumbo too. And if you ever hear Kumbo talk about Troy, he'll tell you that Troy's had more experience than he has. Yeah. And Troy came and I told him, I said, look, dude, that thing come up on the roof. It ran over the top, told him what happened. He goes out and looks on I got a lot of pines. I got a lot of oak trees. It's all wooded around my cabin.
Nice.
And me being gimped up, I hadn't been able to clean the roof off. Excuse me. He went out and looked on the roof, and he found out there on the porch. He said he could see in the straw the impressions where the thing went up and over. Then he come around here and looked. He could see where it came down the roof. And he said right over my chair, there was a big spot, like, you know, a big spot where he could tell it'd been standing. And he said, I could see the footprints. It went right the way you said. Well, he went around and looked on the ground. Well, in the pine straw, he said there was a big spot that looked like something landed and like slid. You know how it's like pine straw, you make it like raking up a carpet.
Yeah, exactly.
He said,
yes.
He said I could see exactly where it hit the ground and like slid a little bit.
Yep. And
you know, how do you explain that to people? I mean, it's hard for people to fathom that these things will do that. But that absolutely kind of spooked me as much as anything. And then up till right after that was when they finally started. I'd never had them mess with a door ever, but they've messed with my door twice this summer. They'll grab my door and it's like, don't. And Roger Williams, my buddy that does the show Squatch and Holler, he came here a couple of days after I told him that something messed with my door. And Roger, he goes, did you see this? I said, see what? He said, the glass on this door. So I got a glass storm door. And there was a line, looked like that the thing's arm had went across in the top of the arm. And then you could see like the hair hanging down.
Yep.
And it reached from off the porch, and it reached over, and you could see where it grabbed the door.
Yep.
So I didn't even look at that. Roger found that. But you know, them with the door. Now, if they walk around outside, I'm not crazy about it, but it unnerves me when they started messing with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then shortly after all that was when Kumbo came here, and he jumped on. We went on a podcast together. And when he went to leave that night, I walked him over. I walked out on the little porch. He went and got in his truck. You know, we said our goodbyes like we always do. Well, he got in his truck and started it up. The headlights came on, and I watched his truck back up, and he has to back and then back, you know, like curve and then pull out and go down the drive.
Right. Yep.
I stood and watched his truck within 30 feet back up, and when he put it in drive is when I stepped in and shut the door. If I'd stayed on the porch another 15 seconds, I would have saw what he did in my driveway about less than 100 feet from where I'm sitting now. When he started out, he calls me a few minutes after he leaves. He's like, "You ain't gonna believe what happened." I said, "What?" He said, "There's a damn booger just crossed your driveway when I was leaving." I said, "What?" He said, "It looked like," he said, "it was probably 7 feet tall. It wasn't real bulky." I said, "I'm pretty sure it was juvenile." He said, "But it was gray colored." He said, "The damn thing went within 60 feet of the front of my truck." He said, "I had the high beams on it. It walked across your drive, and I watched it go over and go in the woods."
Wow.
But all this was happening, and it's kind of put us into wondering if it getting on the roof, or one getting on the roof and one messing with the door, if it's not this dang juvenile.
Could be. Yeah, very
That's
well.
what
I
Just
I
messing with you.
So here, for example, so these are actual handprints. So I can't get used to that. That's 8.5 by 11. So you know, it's not a huge handprint. What I love is the position of the thumb, and that thumb is, as you know, is more like a finger. And this little signature, that little hook of that thumb is really neat because it shows up over and over. Now you can tell that is a larger creature. And you got to remember, there's some touch and drag with that too, and additionally, they're not coming up with their hands all the way spread out. It's in a relaxed state.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And this one, this is crazy. I was working on their cast on my tailgate because they casted some tracks there, and just being handling, showing other people borrow them. They're starting to get cracks. So I was trying to figure out a way to beef up these casts so that they can still be displayed and stuff. And I spread out on my tailgate. September 23rd last year, it's raining, and they're like, "Hey, why don't you come in for dinner?" This is in the driveway, backed up to the garage, the eaves, my truck open, and in for an hour, and I go to come out, and the lady is there. She's sick sometimes, so she's in bed, so she has this sight to the back of my truck. She says, "Well, be careful when you go out there. I saw something underneath your truck." Now, further away from the truck, but just viewing under the truck, something black. Be careful of bears. Well, I'm not used to having bears in my yard or rattlesnakes or copperheads. I am more aware when I'm in the woods, but when I'm in my yard or driveway, I'm just not there. So I come out and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And all right, we're all good. She comes out a few minutes later with her cane. She goes, "You need to look on the other side of your truck for handprints." We're watching the handprints form. I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying to see with the glare.
Yeah.
So the tinted window, truck cap, where they're looking in like this. And it was so cool, the video, to see the sebum pressed onto the wet window, that exchange of molecules pushing through that sebum. You know how water will attract to one another, and kind of like bubbling up, like reminding me of like when you put a vinyl graphics on or a sticker or something, it'll get the air bubbles pop out. Well, what I didn't realize it also did, that's when it leaned over to my truck to look in the back too. And Mary, I've shown this a bunch of times. So that's still on my truck over a year later through all these car washes, snowstorms, rainstorms. It just keeps coming back. And I lifted that off my truck in February. The print was made on September 23rd last year.
Yeah, I saw that just a couple weeks ago. I could see.
But the point being is, it's not a whole lot bigger in my hand. It's different. And so I guess where I'm going with that is, obviously I'm getting different size handprints, but more of them are the little bit smaller. And handprint thing started with me at my old hunting lease with very small handprints, which was really cool. Yeah, that's not a good one, but I do want to give you the scale. I want to make sure that I'm not being too ADD going down a rabbit trail here. I know what I want to share with you, Greg, is that pole barn tin. I'm really familiar with that. I mean, as you can see, my shop, space where I live, is bigger than my house. I'm quite familiar with that stuff. So what color is your out exterior? Is it like a galvanized gray?
It's brown.
Perfect.
It's
So
brown walls and a green roof.
Perfect. So everything oxidizes, and you've noticed that, if you were to take your finger, you can get a little chalkiness. So I'll tell you, if you check it and don't see anything, all I can say is you can't give up. So if you're checking it, look at it in the morning light. If you don't find anything, come back to those suspect places. Come back in the evening light. I don't know why. And even with a flashlight, playing angles helps. And because of the sebum, it's like a cosmoline oil. It'll be there. You will.
Now, I'll tell you something else we did find. We found some muddy spots that we can't explain. We found muddy spots on that wall. There's no reason for there to be mud on that wall.
Yep. And let me guess, the mud spots look just like, so when you mop your kitchen, when I have to, when you mop your kitchen, you're to walk across barefoot, even though your feet are clean, you know how it leaves that mark because of that surface tension to get off of it, and it leaves kind of a funny mark, not like a full foot. Did those marks that? Because it's
it was just like splotches of mud, like pretty big splotches of mud, and they were like one over here. There was even one down probably a couple of feet off the ground, and there was one way up high. But it was just like you took a muddy rag and mashed the wall and pulled it up.
Yep. But you'll see it, and just like you said too, the that hair of their arms when they're touching stuff, that will show up as well. And you can take any kind of a talcum powder, how our grandmas used to have that little dish with that little puff up. That works too. And then you get yourself a UV light. It's just out of my reach. It pops and makes a great photo. And
I do heating and air work, and we put dye in central units, and we use a UV light to pick it up. I've got 7 or 8 UV lights in my truck.
Yep. And I'll tell you, I have so many different ways I'm learning of lifting latent prints and dusting them. And there's some fluorescent stuff, but I found at the end of the day, especially for the price of it, and especially if you're searching for a print, because that other stuff, that little vials, like $25-$30. That other stuff, I'll tell you, that powder typically is only going to stick where there's sebum, and that sebum's tough. So go ahead, just puff it right in good. Where you're thinking that they're on your roof and stuff, puff it real good. just, light brush it off, honestly, with anything, because that sebum, it's tacky. It's like pine sap.
Yeah.
And it'll vary with the quantity of it and the hardness of it. I don't know why it does. It's had some correlation with the weather, but I don't know. But boy, because I was watching a couple of your videos and I saw that tin and a little bit of what you had going on. It's like, you're going to get handprints. You just got to try those tricks, and it's pretty cool. And you can use some Gorilla Tape to lift the prints. And then alls I do is copier paper. If you were going to do a color copy of a photograph at home with your copier, that one really nice clay coated side, you can see some of the lifts, the tape on there, and you transfer it down to that, and then you could just work with charcoal too. Once, maybe like when you use the talcum powder to find it, and then when you get down to a good handprint, I'll tell you, you can even take charcoal from your fire, bust it up. I do that with a lot of my Indian relic stuff, because there's a lot of effigies and stuff, and I'll dust that right up, and you can lay it right over it. Even if you put the talcum on, it'll still pick up in those ridges, and you can dust it off. There's a bunch of stuff on YouTube, how to do latent prints. There's forensic classes, and you're going to get some good handprints. And it's
I got to watching some of the stuff that, like Jimmy Chilcutt had done. And, it was amazing, that he started putting it together on the deal with the prints, that, these prints, like the swirl marks and the line marks, were different than anything. And, that's what he was saying. He said, this is it's like fingerprints, and just wow.
Yeah, there
Wow.
it is. You see the swirls.
Look at that. Wow.
I got a ton of them. Mary knows. I have a ton of them. Yeah, if you want to see how to do it, or at least how I do it, I'm not saying it's right. I mean, I'm going to plug my YouTube channel. I'm definitely not in this to make money. As Mary knows, it's a good way to
lose money.
Yeah. Like,
Yes, sir.
If I was married, my head would be on a stake in the front yard for all other husbands to see. But my channel, it's basically what I do. I'm just, hey, it's rough. I'm just documenting myself of what I'm doing, and as I apply the stuff, lift it, and what I'm finding, and it is hard to videotape the stuff on the glass, but some of them come out real good. And I try to share all my tricks that I'm learning. Not that they're tricks of my master. I'm just learning.
Well, now what is your channel? Is it the Bigfoot in New York, Todd?
It is. And lots of times I get kind of run over by Todd Standing, because he did one investigation in New York and has a video, and he's in the algorithm. So you have to look a little bit more. But yeah, I think one of the last ones I posted, last two, I was lifting prints. But in fact, that one with the camper encounter, I wanted to ask you about that. Cheryl's encounter, is that all right, Mary?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yes.
So I'm trying to do a low-tech trick here. So I'm casting from my iPad to behind me. Hold on a second. All right, so, oh gosh, I don't know if you guys can see that. But what it is that the creatures are coming up to this camper, and she had all sorts of claims, but the first thing I start with that bumper, because she kind of directed me there, and with the dust on it, I could see the fingerprints. Then she talked about hearing this dragging. Well, you can see the line in the gravel of this camping site. Let's see if I can let this go. Dragging out with the camping site. So now there's 3, 4 of them. See these sticks? They're like an inch or so around. And the sticks are basically dropped right at the edge of the forest line. And it's like they used one of these sticks for each time they went up to screw around with a camper and dragged the way out and dropped it. Of course, right next to where it's going to leave tracks. But within there, you were talking about like on your roof, that bum, 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 running. Well, think of the print that a juvenile would leave. And when it's quadruped, pushing off on that pea gravel, but of which is still a compact kind of a sandy loam clay. You can see, but you're seeing the push-offs of like this, something that's scurrying quickly. So it's leaving clear spots. And I don't know if they're counting coup with it, and or are they covering their tracks?
Well, I don't know. They, there's so many people and so many different opinions on what these things do and what they are. And I started out, I'm not going to say I didn't believe in them, but I damn sure didn't think they were here in North Alabama. And then once I had to try to wrap my hands around that they were really here, I kind of went into, okay, it's this big animal that stays hid. Nobody sees it. That's kind of where I'm at with it. Well, then the more encounters I had and the more things I realized that this is them and this is what they're doing, then I start getting into, well, that really doesn't make sense. I don't know how they're doing this. And I don't know how anything flesh and blood and meat and bone can make that happen. But I just witnessed it. I just saw this happen. And, that doesn't make sense. So the like the rabbit hole you're talking about, that rabbit hole has all kind of doors and all kind of tunnels. And the longer you're in it, you're going to wind up somewhere way different than where you ever thought you would be.
You are 100% right. I just want them to be a damn dirty ape. They're an animal. They leave sign. I've found their bedding. Nest site, I have trouble calling a nest. I'm more comfortable like a daycare. The organized scat. It's everything behavior of an animal.
Mm.
And like these things, your roof. If this creature is so elusive, this behavior makes no sense. I mean, everything at the end of the day is risk versus benefit. Well, you see all the risk of doing this. To what benefit? Behaving like this.
Yep.
And it seems like it does it more to those that know. Doesn't it?
You just touched on something right there. It's like you've been marked. Once you know, once you accept it, it's like you've been marked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep. I agree. 100%. It's like seeing things in the sky or seeing other things, and where it's like once you open that door, maybe we're just more aware or open to it. But yeah, I feel marked, and the things that can happen when I come home from a good investigation immediately. My truck alarms, even before I get in the house, my truck alarms never go off, and a sympathetic alarm of my Cummings starts going off, and they started going in unison, and I couldn't turn them off, and it's done that multiple times.
Wow.
Or bluebirds that will be in my house. I have a cat. I've told Mary about those bluebirds multiple times. I don't have any holes in my house. I do have a chimney, but I mean, when that thing's open, there's flames coming out of it. There's not a bluebird flying down it. And boy, I try to not like what's that? Don't cross the streams, Egon. I don't know if it was Dan Aykroyd that said that or what, but literally keep this separate. I don't form an opinion. How can you on anything? But I still like to ask people like you of what you think, because I think we're all looking for guidance besides the validation. But aren't you, Mary? Kind of like, I hope there's somebody way smarter than me that can tell me what's going on.
Well, all I can say is, the more people that you talk with, you get all kinds of different perspectives. And I always say we learn from each other.
Yep.
And it's valuable information no matter what. Even though we may not agree with someone else's perspective, it's data.
It is.
And it's important information.
And those perspectives really it's kind of limited. It still kind of only boils down to a few things.
Right.
All these opinions, it's kind of all the same, just a couple different.
It's puzzle pieces. And but there's a heck of a lot of large chunks, empty parts in there.
There is.
Oh, yeah. One of the things that it took me a long time to, and I'm uncomfortable about talking about it, but I have finally told people, and I started telling them a couple of years ago, what really solidified to me that these things were a lot more than meat, blood, and bone. And I was really apprehensive and just worried about telling people what I'd witnessed, because I'm already telling them all this other stuff.
You already sound crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I already sound crazy, but when you throw gas on a fire, it kind of flames up. But the wildest thing that I saw that I didn't see, I guess, was I had one coming around the field on me, and this is like a 2-acre green field. And I was in a 15-foot 2-man ladder stand, and I could hear the thing coming from 150 yards, and it was coming through a thicket, an old cutover that had grown up volunteer, and it was just like a jungle. And the stuff was up, 12 or so feet high, 14 maybe. So I'm still looking out over top of it because I'm higher than the terrain around me.
Right.
And I could not only hear this thing, the footsteps, I could hear vines ripping and being pulled and breaking. And I could see, hear like tree limbs and saplings popping. But, for several years there, when I hunted that, these things would come around through that thicket. And not only could you hear them, you were looking across the top of the vegetation and you could see the stuff moving apart, or they were like pushing their way through it.
Right.
Well, I can hear the thing coming, and here it comes. It's coming around on my left side, and it's coming down, like the field went directly to my left about probably 25, 30 yards. And then it made a 90 and it went like going out in front of me on the left side. So this thing's coming down that side, coming toward me. And it was out of the field, maybe 10, 15 feet, maybe. But it was in that thicket. Well, I'm hearing all these noises. I'm hearing footsteps. I'm hearing limbs break. I'm hearing trees snap. I'm watching pine saplings, the tops pull apart like 4 feet, and then they'll whoop back together. So not only can I hear it and imagine it coming through there, I can see where it's at. I'm looking straight at where it's coming. I watch this thing come through that thicket. Well, where the field goes over and makes this corner where it's coming to that corner of the field, I had bush hogged a 4-wheeler trail, or basically a shooting lane that went out of that corner of the field, and I could look down it, probably 65, 70 yards guessing. It was a pretty long way. Well, it's 7, 8 feet wide. It wasn't real wide, but it's clear as a bell. There's no limbs hanging over, because I killed a bunch of deer that would step out in that wasn't going to come in the field. I'm watching this thing come. It's coming on the intersection with that lane.
Yep.
I've got my rifle on the shooting rail, and I'm looking over top of the scope, and I'm like, it's fixing to step over that. If it keeps going, it's got to cross this opening. It's,
Right.
I've got it hemmed up on this side and this side. It's either going to have to turn and parallel that and go around it. But if it steps over, I'm going to see it. I hear that sound, go right to that corner. I watch the bushes moving. It's right there. I'm thinking, okay, it's going to step out. It's going to step out. It's going to step out. I don't blink. I don't do nothing. This thing is no more than between 30, 35 yards. It's right there.
Yeah.
The noise quits. It gets quiet. The bushes ain't moving. And I'm thinking, okay, it stopped. Now what's it going to do? I'm sitting there like, it's a little apprehensive about stepping across this opening. Did it figure out I'm there? Is it looking to see if somebody's in the stand? What's it going to do? And I'm just waiting like, okay, the ball's in your court. What are you going to do? The very next thing, look, I'm down about 10, 12 seconds, maybe had passed. That same limb breaking, stuff popping, cracking, starts exactly across that opening, continuing on.
I was waiting for that.
How it crossed that, I do not know. I didn't see a creature. I didn't see a shimmer. I didn't see a blur. I didn't see nothing. Nothing. And that thing, absolutely, I hear it coming. It comes up, and magically it gets quiet because the grass was this high. I never saw anything cross that path. And as soon as it got to the other side, I'm hearing all the limbs, the leaves crunching, seeing stuff move. There was something crossed that, and it was big. It crossed that, and I never saw anything.
Wow.
That's what
the daytime.
Yes, sir. Broad daylight. I'm talking about like 4 o'clock in the evening.
So
That's what threw me.
So
that
the
was
light
what
would
threw
have
me.
been.
It threw me into the woo. That's where my woo started.
Yeah.
It's wild. And that's what I tell people. Be careful what you ask for. Because the longer you stay this, the longer you stay into it, you'll see more and more things that you cannot explain.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Exactly what I say. Be careful what you look for, because you might find it.
Yes.
And what you think. And you
I found you on here. I just subscribed to your channel.
Hey, thank you. So you're probably subscriber 136.
Woo, yes.
Hey.
Yeah, I keep trying to post it here in the chat, but it's not coming up.
Well, I appreciate it, and it does grow, but it's not what it's about, but it does help motivate me. I like sharing what I'm learning because I want to hear back from other people of, that it's all about kind of being validated, isn't it? At the end of the day, and learning more and the parallels of the stories. And so I wanted to ask you, have you ever noticed in heavy brush? And if you haven't, think about this. So, how as a hunter, we're pretty darn good at knowing what is that's moving through the brush. But I will admit, there's been many gray squirrels that I swear were 200 pounds and had racks like this. But when you hear things move through the thicker brush, your deer and animals like that with that slower scaffold of the limbs, they're pushing through like this. It makes a different kind of noise than as opposed to this thicker brush like you're talking about, where a body is pushing, an upright body's pushing through that. And like you said, moving that foliage. My experience, but then each time it's been wet when it was doing it, but it made like a swoosh.
Yes, sir.
Swoosh, like a bipedal. Let me ask you this too. So as you're seeing the brush, the canopy move like this, was the theme of Jaws running in the back of your head as though like, the shark?
It probably should have.
Hey, Todd.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're at 140 members.
Wow. Nice. Thank you. Thank you.
You know, our podcast, the WoodWalkerz podcast, you know, we started off like a herd of turtles. And you know, there's been things that we could have done that would have increased our algorithm as far as us in the algorithm. But we got coached by some folks that's got a lot of lots and lots and lots of followers. And they tried to help us, you know, as far as like, you know, if y'all will do this and if you'll do that,
Yeah.
this will spur the algorithm. And then they told us, said, look, you know, you need to realize that there's certain things if you do, it'll kind of they kind of scold you
Yes.
because if you know your language, talking about politics, guns, whatever. If you talk about certain things, they idle you back.
Yep.
Mhm.
And Spencer approached me and Misty, and we had a long talk about it. And we were like, look, you know, we appreciate everybody that's there. And, you know, we kind of chose quality over quantity.
Yep.
Because we tried to be with the people that we wanted them to see the real us. You know, what you see with us is what you're going to get. Like the people that came to our meet and greet, they saw the same three folks in person that they see on there. And
Yeah.
because we're asking people to believe something that's really kind of unbelievable.
Yes.
And we don't want to muddy the waters in any way. And people say, well, man, they're just doing that. And I mean, if you see them on the show, you know, that's just a put on. And if you made them in real person, they're different people. Oh, no. Mary's been around us in person. She knows how we are.
Oh yeah.
And, you
All
know,
good quality. Yeah, down to earth people.
Authentic. Yep.
Yes, authentic. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. And
we just, but like I said, dude, with your, I don't know how long have you had your channel?
20. And the reason I started it was these balls of light that I was also filming at hunting camp.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that there's a correlation, but there's some interesting coincidences.
Yeah.
And I really try to treat them separately. I think it's a very interesting geological anomaly. I'm trying to keep it that way. So yeah, 2020. And so one of my employees figured out how to do it. And the name only started because we thought it was a password when we were putting that in. And I didn't really care. It stuck, you know, and had no plan for growth, but it was trying to share those videos with friends. The files were too big to send. And it just made sense to, you know, I gotta give this fella credit. He's like, you should do a YouTube thing. Oh, good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How long have you been doing it?
Well, we've been doing the podcasting thing for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
But we've been pumping out most time a show a week, and sometimes we'll do more than that and do some shorts and just jump on. And now Misty and I, we've done 2 shows. We're doing a kind of like a WoodWalkerz, but me and her's both night owls, so we're gonna do one like late at night on the weekends, and that's what we're calling it, is Night Owls with a Z on the end instead of S. So
Okay.
we're gonna try to lean more toward not really as much Bigfoot, but paranormal, spooky, scary, ghost stories, just all kind of odd stuff. And you know, we'll
give it out there and people love it.
Yeah, but
They do.
we may even talk about voodoo and witchcraft and all kind of stuff. But we Spencer, he goes to bed at like, I don't know, 7:30. Sometimes he gets stay up till 8. But Misty, she's usually messaging me at 4 a.m. and we're just up, and we just thought, hey, there's a lot of people up then. It gives us a chance, if nothing else, to put a smile on somebody's face.
Yeah.
So
I know you guys are on all hours of the night.
oh yeah. But you know, we've been blessed by just unreal how great the people are that follow us, and we get so many awesome messages from people. And it's people that don't ever even get in our chat. They'll message us like an email or a private message,
Mm-hmm.
and it's, I mean, it just really is.
It is,
But
yeah.
I went a long time before I would talk to anybody. I mean, I started having encounters in 20,
Mm-hmm.
or not 20, in 2000. So I've been doing it for, for 24 years. And,
Yeah.
it was a long time before I would ever go on a podcast.
Yeah.
And
I know.
now here I'm on podcasts. So
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Hosting your own, you and Misty.
yeah,
Was
but what me and Misty and Spencer, I mean, we're like the hillbilly Three Stooges, and
Yes.
we just, undoubtedly we make a pretty good team, and people
Yeah.
find us interesting. So, but really, I mean, yeah, we could have probably grown our subscription by a lot, but I mean, that's what we talked about. We kind of chose quality over quantity,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we don't have the bickering and arguing and the fussing and the fighting and the name calling. And we
No.
want people to know, we're here to be a safe space for somebody to come share and talk.
Right.
And, that's what I see, like with Mary's group, the Pennsylvania Bigfoot. I mean, they don't put up with no mess on their Facebook page.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like us. She's blessed with moderators, and all they got to do is say something out of the way, and they get bonked and they're out.
That's
No.
right.
So,
Booted out the door.
yep.
You were about a safe place. So this encounter that shifted everything for us, and we actually were getting into some investigating, but that encounter, that interrupting the deer drive that night, all of us trying to sleep in that camper after all this, and I'm searching on my phone for something, and before that I'd come across Bigfoot Outlaws a couple of times. I was trying to find it again, and it was you guys that I was listening to that night, and it was a source of peace, validation. So I want to be careful of that validation, not to sound like an ego, but that that you're okay. This is for real. This actually happened, and to all of us, and that we're not alone in this. And it just, Bigfoot Outlaws have been a huge influence.
Yeah.
And even things that were sometimes a little crazy to believe or made a good story, I would see and happen myself. Well, for example, showing you the possible counting coup with that, which all makes sense. And boy, it helps to plug pieces together, and there is such a value to it. And I think that's why this whole Bigfoot, I'm going to say market, I don't like using that term like this, has expanded for a reason. There are consumers and so many podcasts and YouTube and everything for a reason, because people are producing it for a reason. People are consuming it for a reason. And it's not just entertainment. It's because of their experiences. It's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. It's overwhelming at times when you realize that what you're finding, you have to continuously tell yourself that, this happened. This just, this just is what I just witnessed. And what makes it really good is when you got somebody there with you that's witnessing it right along with you.
Yeah, and that doesn't happen a lot, and even if they're with you, they're, because it's just that glance, and unfortunately, but it is better when somebody else is seeing it with you. And like,
Yeah.
Mary, how long have you, I know you grew up with it, but how long did you have the podcast YouTube?
I started my YouTube, the YouTube channel itself. I started in 2015. So here I am. But, like Greg and WoodWalkerz, it's been more just, well, I don't know about quality. because
No, it is.
I'm not much of a tech person, but I just put out my content, and just little by little, people start watching, and then a year ago, just about people, telling me, "Oh, you got to start your own podcast." And I thought, oh, okay, all right, I'll try it. So
Now,
here we go.
now, Mary, I don't want to confuse anybody. When I'm saying our show is slow because of the quality versus quantity, I'm not talking about our show, the quality. I'm talking about the people that follow us, the quality of those people.
Yes,
That's the quality that we have.
absolutely.
You're
I
absolutely-
agree.
my watchers are experiencers.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
I know. I love my audience. I watch the chat, and I'm watching the chat now, and they're all friends. I may not have met them all, but I love them all.
Right. I mean, Mary, if you were to stop to think about where you go, all the people you meet, and
Hmm.
what do you think you've interacted with 100,000 people at this point?
Yeah, yeah.
And when you get so many of them one-on-one, and I love doing these, like that Marionville event. I mean,
Hmm.
it was, yeah, we set up our stuff, and you see me, I don't bring much, just my evidence.
Right.
There's no signs. Well, you see the little one over my, God, I can't get used to this. You see the little one over my shoulder. That's
It's
it.
backwards.
But it's nonstop people telling us their experiences, and it's not like we're trying to sell them. They're actually selling me.
Well, they want someone. They're looking for someone who just will listen and not make fun of them.
Yep.
And that's what we are, because you have no idea how many grown men that I've spoken to who cried, just cried while telling me about what they experienced, because their family would make fun of them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just find that so sad.
Yeah. Yep. And there's so many good stories that are out there that will never see the light of day. But
Yeah.
one would think that all the stories have been told with all these different podcasts, but they keep coming out, don't they? All brand new stuff, because there's an environment that's been created that there's a pretty safe place to talk about it.
Hmm.
What do you guys think about that Oklahoma footage? I mean, it's a joke, and all the media ran with that. I mean, that's making fun of us. And
It does. It hurts the rest of us, and and it's bad. What can you do? That's the way it goes, and you just move on, ignore and move on.
yeah,
Yeah.
do you guys want it discovered,
No,
or recognized by science, or whatever you want to call it?
no, I don't.
Greg?
Well, there again, that's that double-edged sword thing.
Huh?
Would I think it would be cool to, because I'm talking about, I've got a tractor trailer load of I told y'all so saved up for a shitload of people. But but there again, I look at it that those of us that's had encounters, I feel like a lot of people's had encounters. It's because you've got something that you're destined for. Does that make sense? And maybe it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the way I feel about it. And I really, honestly, I believe a lot of people can't handle it. I mean, I don't know how to phrase that and be polite about it, but
I mean, I experienced it, even though I believed. It shakes your paradigm of everything that you know.
Hmm.
It goes against everything, and Mary knows that it makes me struggle with my faith. I mean, it doesn't change my faith. Just I want to make sure that I should be doing this or not doing it. I want to make sure I'm not. I don't know. It's
Well, yeah, Todd, it's something that I personally I struggled with for a little bit, uh, but then I prayed about it, and I still pray
yeah,
for guidance that this is where God wants me. This is what
Mm.
God wants me to do. And if God does not want me to continue, then let me know. And, hey, I'll move on to some other obsession that sucks away my money.
yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, we flat hadn't made any money doing it, and it's cost us.
Oh yeah,
But I look at it that when I came out and started talking about what had happened to me and what I experienced and what I saw, I was going to help create the safe space for those other people that were struggling with dealing with it, because I was that person. I mean, I was struggling with dealing with it too. And like I said, by the grace of the good Lord, I met Bill White that got me in touch with Coonbo, and
Yeah,
Coonbo just within no time, I mean, he put me in the center circle of his group.
yeah.
And I was in like the 6 or 7 got his tight group of researchers, and
Mm-hmm.
I got to meet all these people, and it was just like I hit the super lotto of
yeah,
Bigfoot research.
Yeah,
And so I knew what it did for me to be able to talk and be able to be open with people,
mm-hmm.
and just the weight that I can take off my shoulders.
yep,
And I knew, and I know there still are. There's a lot of people out there that's still in that. They're struggling with it. They don't have any. They feel like they don't have anybody to talk to, and there's no safe place to talk about it.
Yeah,
And what we tried to do is create that safe space. And we've told people, look, if you don't want to come on the show with us, that's fine. If you want to talk and it's bothering you, if there's any questions that we can answer that you could ask us. We'll do a message. We'll do messenger. We'll do a live chat that's not recorded. It's not aired. We'll talk
nice.
just like this. It'll be private.
mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
so I try to tell people, if you can lay that burden over to somebody else and let them help you tote it, it makes it a whole lot easier.
It does, and such a value. Um, well, that's how we've picked up these places is by listening to people and believing them, and you can just tell. Well, because we were those people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Um, I was thinking. So us fellow experiencers that kind of moved into, I don't know what to call us, researchers. Honestly, I like being called a hunter because I'm always hunting for information, hunting for artifacts, hunting for whatever.
Mm.
Not as the kill, it's the hunt that I like. Um, Maybe we should issue, it's like a fraternity in a sense. So were you a police officer? Do I understand that?
I
Greg?
still am.
You still are. Awesome. Thank you. So I don't have to tell you anything. It's a certain brotherhood, fraternity.
Yeah.
So I'm in was actually just resigned an LEMC club, and and military. I did the MS thing for a lot of years. So you know how we have to challenge coins, and then there
Oh
was
yeah.
this. I met through Mary, who is just a boat guy, very humble man, and just boat guys are badasses. And he showed me his challenge coins and let me hold them. It's like, wow, that was so cool. So maybe that's what we need to do is issue challenge coins. And now we're in that fraternity because it is like we're in a fraternity because you probably went through an initiation that, right? Maybe, no, I'm not going to ask you because you can't tell. But I know the initiation and Hell Night we go through and what they put us through wouldn't, the lawsuits it would come from. But it's sorting out your brothers, testing you by the fire. And that would be our experiences. So now we issue these challenge coins. It's a brotherhood. And then there's that, that's unique sound. Actually, I'll make the sound. I'm sorry, guys. You know what? I got one hanging up right over there, and I can't see it right now.
Oh,
And the sound that challenge coin make as that's being slammed down, all of the guys know. This is through militaries and everything. And if you are the last one or the one you don't, you're buying drinks for the rest of the night for everybody, right? So this isn't drinking. It's about, I guess where I'm going with it. It's like a brotherhood experiencing this. It's like a fraternity, not a cult.
no.
A shared partnership.
The one thing about it is it's dang sure life changing. I mean, it is life changing. There's no going back from it either. None.
No.
No.
Absolutely no.
Are you grateful for it at this point? Are you grateful for the experience at this point?
There again, that's that double-edged sword. It's yin and yang. It's both. And I've met some of the greatest people that I've ever met, that I ever had enter my life.
Yeah.
I mean, I've met, I don't even know, a lot of them, yeah, I've met true great friends, but a lot of them are more like family right now.
Yes.
I mean, it's absolutely like family.
I talked to
you know, we had our meet and greet this last weekend. And you know, it was in Talladega, Alabama. And we had people drove from South Florida. We had them from Ohio. We had them from Oklahoma, Texas. We had Louisiana, basically every state in the South, plus, like I said, Pennsylvania and Ohio. I mean, we had people that drove 17, 18 hours to get there, to come hang out with a bunch of us in the middle of the woods in a primitive campground, no water, no power, no nothing. And I'm talking about these people had the best time. Everybody was sad that the weekend was ending. And I guarantee you they would do it again this coming weekend. And you know, and when you come to our meet and greets, it's you're meeting these people, some of them for the first time in person. But it's no head nod, hey, how are you? It's a handshake, a hug. And
oh yeah.
And anybody that you walk up to, you can talk openly with that person and say, you know, this is what I experienced. This is what happened to me. And then they're going to say, yeah, that's kind of like what happened to me. And it's everybody is just so welcoming and so warming that, dude, I'm telling you, it's unreal. Until somebody has been to one of them, it's unbelievable how it is. I mean, it's totally different from a conference. It's and Mary can tell you, like, you take like the years of experience that was at our meet and greet this weekend. I'm talking about people that's been researching and had experiences, you know, like Troy Allen. I mean, he's been dealing with them for 50 years. Kumbo for 50 years. Me for 24 years. You know, I went down the list, and I mean, we had centuries of knowledge. I mean, and look, and it's not like a conference where you go buy a ticket and you listen to them say their spiel and they leave. No, you walk up, grab a seat, sit down by the fire, talk to this guy. You get up, you walk over there. Hey, dude, how are you? You introduce yourself. You get one-on-one, face-to-face. You can ask them the questions. I mean, it's just like us sitting here. And, you know, the cool thing for us, we don't charge anybody anything. Yeah. We don't charge nothing. We're not trying to get rich. We're not trying to even really be famous. We're just wanting to spread the word that, you know, y'all, we know what it's like. You know, if you need somebody to talk to, we're here. And, you know, it's just unreal.
Like, we're trying to normalize it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm becoming a student of trauma. and PTSD. And it's interesting to observe our behaviors and others' behaviors through all this, because it is a trauma. It's just a shake of your paradigm, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
people are scared like never before. And
Oh, yeah.
this is stuff that bad movies are made of, and it's really happening. So you would think that it would have to be the right psychologist would be really interested in observing this behavior, and at like these many events of this like pattern, because science is all about repeatability, and
Yeah.
we didn't even have to believe in Bigfoot, but you would think at the end of it they would. And no less like the cueing behavior. I thought there would be more interest in that, of me drawing those graphic handprints in the face. You got to remind me to show you that. Yeah. And these things responding, putting their hands in their face and it responding to cueing. All this psychology that's involved, that you think science would be interested in just that phenomena. And is that what we're all doing with this? That we're trying to normalize it, and we all seek to feel normal?
Possibly. That's part of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
That the excitement,
Oh yeah,
I think. Yeah, it's doggone fun.
I'm a junkie.
It's scary as all heck, but it's fun.
Brooks, Abby Normal.
Yes. Yeah. Greg's daughter's name is Abby.
yeah, she's like the WoodWalkerz unofficial mascot.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
If I had a girl, that was the name that we had picked out too, was Abby.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's a great name.
Yeah. Well, tell her we all said hi.
We will. I know Wanda's in the chat. Abby
Yeah.
may be doing homework, or she may be watching with her mama, so who knows.
Okay.
That's awesome.
But hey, dude, you need to I'll try to get with Spencer and Misty, and you may want to come on WoodWalkerz with us one day.
I would like to. And
Yeah.
a lot of these handprint things I'm going to be sending off real shortly. I'm just waiting to hear back how and what, the way they want it. And some of the delay makes sense because of the people checking them out, that you can't just flood this type of stuff in. You kind of like have to really let them pre-qualify it further. And I get that. Yeah, once you get,
depending on where the location of the lab is.
yeah, and I think this step is with his resource of those FBI handprint analysis forensics, and I want to be careful saying this because I'm not the one doing it, and I don't want to put words in Doug's mouth, so I'm trying to be very careful, correct. Don't want to be presumptuous, but I understand it, and I'm being patient. Just give me, if you two talk, and just let me get this shipping container I made for all these prints opened up and bring something over.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah.
I was
Go ahead.
telling too, needs to, if he hadn't went on Facebook and got on our WoodWalkerz Facebook page, had a lot of people posting some really good video and pictures from our camp out this last weekend. Man, we had such a great time.
Yeah. Did a lot happen? I mean, did you have any activity?
Yeah, I think we're going to talk about a lot of that come Sunday. But yeah, Mary, I mean, we had one fella that had a pretty dang good sighting. I mean,
Really?
he had a sighting, and then we had another young man that saw something that may have been a dog man.
Oh my.
Yeah, we heard several vocals. Mary, I saw a red eye. Matter of fact, I was talking to JR, Misty's husband. The big festivities was going on Saturday night, and he and I had stepped back over kind of where our campsites were. They were side by side, and JR had his back to the wood line, and I was facing him. and like right over his left shoulder, it couldn't have been 40 feet. I saw a massive red eye out of
Oh,
nowhere. It was just like it appeared. And I'm talking about like the size of a silver dollar. It
yeah.
just appeared. And I mean, it was glowing bright. I'm
Wow.
talking about very, very bright. And then it just like winked back away. And
Huh.
it lasted like one Mississippi, two, just like it came on, went out. And I
Wow.
told you, I said, look, just act normal. I just saw a red eye over your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And waited a few minutes and I shined a light in there, couldn't see anything. I can't explain that. I don't know. But now we had a lot of people saw some different eye shines, heard some vocals and stuff. And like I said, we're now Sunday, we're going to try to get a lot of the people that were at the meet and greet
Yeah.
to come on the show and take turns, bring them on for a few minutes, let them talk about what they done and what they saw and
Mm-hmm.
just let us know what they thought about the whole experience of going. So
Yeah.
we're hopefully have several people that people will get to hear their opinion and point of view for the whole weekend.
Oh, that should be fun. Wow. And that's on
Yep.
Sunday?
That'll be this Sunday at 1:30 Central Time.
Okay. And that's the WoodWalkerz with his Z channel.
Yep.
Okay.
And like Todd, I was telling Mary, if you hadn't subscribed to our WoodWalkerz with a Z Facebook page, if you'll go on it, you can look at all these people commenting, talking about the weekend and look at our pictures of the campground. And I think we had like our group photo was over 100 people.
Wow.
So
Yes. Yes.
we
Subscribe to your YouTube channel.
we know we had 110 people at least signed the sign-in sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, pretty much the people that camp. So we had a pretty good campground full.
Wow. You had more than the campground, I'm sure.
Yeah. Man, we had a ball. I mean, absolutely had a blast. But yeah, like I said, Dave, just check out our Facebook page.
I will.
And then like our show, like I said, we'll be on 1:30 Central Time Sunday.
Okay. I'm writing that. Okay.
And it's
Can I validate you about this eye experience that you had? So at this place in Pennsylvania, I've had a few. In February, I had a real mind-blowing one. I wish that somebody saw it with me. So I've always held that they've done this. They'll, I call it side eye. So they'll be looking, out your side, or as you know, they'll do the one eye peek.
Oh.
And have you ever noticed that, a lot of the looking at the two will just be the one cheek and eye? And I have a hypothesis on that as well. As humans, we identify the face. I call it the T. They know to hide from that T, how to identify. But I saw these things, just like you say, they weren't moving. All of a sudden, now you could see the eyes. Well, actually, you'd see one, then you would see two. And just like you said, the intensity turned up on it, like it had
exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
And then dimmed down. Then after a few minutes, I saw a line of four of them, one in the tree. Now, I'm not saying that they're lined up in the woods. They're in the woods. Yeah, they're kind of lined up, but they're at a different depths. The one closer that was bigger, and when his eyes, he lit up, then the other one, then the other one, then the other one. I suspect it was a juvenile in the tree, just giving the one eye above them all, deeper in. And then all of a sudden, the first one, I think the larger one, the closer one, anyways, its eyes turned up bright. This other one that was next to it, like I said, behind it, in sequence, went from red to intense red, like putting the taillights on and then hitting the brake lights, so on and so forth, all four of them down the line. And then this one dimmed out, and then they all dimmed out like they were wired together. And was filming it with my cell phone, trying to center up, but you know how it is at times. You know what? You're not going to catch the stuff. Just take the moment in, and you know.
Yeah.
And I can put it on my big screen, blow it up, do all sorts of editing to it. I can just barely see them. I didn't post it because it's.
You can't make anything out.
Yep.
Yeah,
But,
I know. It's
right.
disappointing, but that's what happens.
Not enough.
No,
And
you experience something awesome, and then
yeah,
to film it. No.
Yep. And then hearing people saying that it was emitting light, I had a hard time with that, you know, and we're all guilty of doing this. But now that I know my surroundings and everything, the elements that are happening. Oh, these things emit light, their own light. I don't know how. It's
what I saw Saturday night. It didn't look like a reflection. It didn't look like I shine.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like honest to God, it looked like a flashlight bezel that somebody had pulled a Coca-Cola label over.
yeah.
It glowed. It
Wow.
glowed.
Yep.
It didn't just like reflect. It was like it was glowing.
Yes,
that
sir.
sounds crazy. There'll be people who'll say, "Oh, it must have been." Look, that's the only way I can explain what I saw. It wasn't just shine.
Yep.
It was like a glow.
It was emitting light. It was a source of light. I know what you mean. And we all have a lot of time in the woods and a lot of time of doing inventory of deer, not deer jacking, but, you know, enjoying spot deer at night, seeing what's out there. And we know what eye shine looks like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
That
Yeah,
is.
that's what freaked me out. That was almost like a real hot fire in a bed of coals. It looked like you tell you what it looked like. It looked like you had like coals and you started blowing air on it and it increased and then it died back down and went away. That's what it looked like. But there was no fire. Look, this fire would have had to been way up in the side of a tree or up, you know, above higher than me, and I'm 6'1", and I can't explain it. But that's the way it's like when it first came on, it was small, and then it looked like you had blown a coal, and it glowed, and it got real bright, and then it held that way for like one Mississippi 2, and it just died back down and blinked off.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly what this looks like, just like you described. And yeah, that's neat. How do they do that? Why? You know what I noticed that I've been catching more eye shine with is, so I have this flashlight, and you'll see me using the videos too, inspecting these handprints. So it's just one that I can, you know, a smaller one you can zoom out, but it has regular white light, green, red, but it also has, I don't know if it's necessarily UV, but it's like purple. Well, I had that a couple of times zoomed out, and I pan in the woods, and I just accidentally hit the purple light, and I have lit up their eyes at this location a few times, which is always creepy how low they are to that castle moat brush that's at the R&R site on the edge.
Yeah.
One thing that's always in common with them is when it lights up their eyes, they immediately, besides closing their eyes, they cast their eyes away. And I don't know any animal that will cognitively cast their eyes away. But this purple light, when I've scanned the woods a few times, I think it tricks them because they're not used to us using purple light.
Right. Now, Todd, there's a question in the chat for you. This one, Superfly says, I've gotten several pictures of them inverted, nothing but black dark, and from behind the tree, the eyes are straight up and down, like their heads turned completely sideways, like they're tricking.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
I to me, what I've observed, a lot of the elements they like is, being on the defilate that drops down even further, so that honestly, they're just kind of they're in a low spot, peaking up, so that they're screened. So, and also you've seen under the, especially with this good browse line with deer, they're lower and quadruped a lot more than we think. So that would make sense that these things could turn their heads. And back to, like, I think that they're aware of knowing that.
Yeah.
Is there a name for that, Greg, that I'm trying to explain? Because I know, like, as in art illustrating, there's a name for that, but how the human brain does that facial recognition.
Is that matrixing?
Something.
Well,
Something similar.
Pareidolia.
Yeah.
Pareidolia.
Neither one of those. Those are both part of it, but I mean, how the human, both of those are correct, but it's not the specific.
Yeah. I know what you mean, Todd, and I'm blanking out.
And it's how we can look through the woods and see a person there because we're seeing the teeth and they're aware.
And horizontal lines show in the woods big time too. A straight horizontal line.
Yeah.
Yep. So this texting between the boys, and I taught them how to hunt when we had our first real encounter, the interrupted hunt. So I was asking him, what are you seeing? So he quoted back to me what I told him. He said, I saw vertical movement through the vertical world. Because I taught him, you just cast a gaze and you look for horizontal movement in the vertical world.
Yeah.
I knew what he meant was he was seeing that not normal to see. And these things are.
I'll tell you one of the best tricks that I was ever taught. My dad was sure enough a woodsman as a child. I'm talking about 5, 6 years old. My dad was, matter of fact, I killed my first deer before my 5th birthday. So I mean, he was dragging me to the woods as a little bitty kid. But one of the things that Dad really emphasized, when you're hunting deer in the woods, you're not looking for a whole deer. You're looking for an eye. You're looking for a little ear. You're looking for puzzle pieces of a deer. And that's the way you hunt if you want to be successful.
Yep. That's what Dean said when we were investigating it. Mary's campout was fantastic. We had great activity. He's like, pay attention for the little details. It's like, you're right. And that's what I enjoyed investigating with him, because he blended right in with us. He's got that eye and thinks differently. It's there. The puzzle pieces are there, and it's up to us. It's like being a scout, just.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, once you're out there, you recognize those little things that are different, the movements, the quick movements that are, it's not a deer, it's not a raccoon, it's not a squirrel, but it's different, and then put it all together, and there we are.
Yep. I think it's fascinating, like when you study their behaviors, no matter where you go, it's alike.
Yeah, it is.
It's consistent.
Yeah, because I've been out to Oklahoma, and their behavior was the same as what they are here in Pennsylvania, in New York, and West Virginia, Ohio.
Yeah, and the way that they, maybe the size of the trees change, or type of trees.
Right.
Doing the same stuff with them, just different.
Well, I can tell you something that you need to prepare yourself for if you've never heard it, is when you hear them talk back and forth to each other in its actual language. Just wait till you hear that.
Yeah.
That is absolutely life-changing.
Yeah, I haven't. Tell us about it.
Man, I heard 2 talking. I heard one come up. It's a pretty long story, and you can go back on some of the podcasts I've done where I went into detail on how it happened. But I had one walk up and kind of halfway circle the field and then go back below me. and I heard him rip a rotten log off the ground. And I heard the log. It sounded like he pulled a 40-foot long, 2-foot wide piece of Velcro off the ground, and all the little stuff grown into the soil.
Yeah.
It ripped.
Yeah.
And then I heard the log. It got quiet for just a second. I heard the log hit the ground. Bloom, 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 pop, and it hit a tree. It rolled down a slope. And then I could hear this thing. It sounded like you had a rake, a garden rake, and you were raking dirt and like slinging it out on top of the dry leaves. You hear it kind of like splattering. And in my mind, I'm going, what is that damn thing doing? And then it dawned on me that this thing is probably raking through the soil, catching worms and bugs and stuff like that to eat. Well,
Around the rotten log. Yep, the grubs, the ants. Yeah.
Exactly. All the stuff that was living under that log, it's probably, it's foraging for whatever's under it, protein wise.
Yep.
Well, the same direction that I heard that one come from, I start hearing more bipedal walking. Well, that thing walks, it's just out of my sight over like a little knoll in the hardwoods, and it walks directly to where the other one was. And when it gets there to it, they start talking. And it had a lot of like Native American type dialect, but it was almost like I love Chinese food. I eat Chinese food at least once a week. And when I go order it, the girl that takes my order, when she turns around and looks at her husband that's cooking it, she sounds like she wants to cut his head off because, they're real loud and just choppy,
Right.
And
Yeah,
that's kind of the way this was. But I'm hearing, and it would get stuck on a syllable, and it would like repeat that syllable like it was stuttering, and then it would change. But I mean, I heard two different voices, total different voices. One was dark or deeper than the other, and like when one would stop, there would hardly be any hesitation before the other. And in my mind, it made me think that they were in a heated argument and they're face to face, like just screaming at each other, because when one stopped, the other one would like nearly instantly be right back at that one. But it was loud. This was within 100 feet of me, because I could see probably 50 or so feet to the end of the field, and that's where it kind of crowned over. And they were on the probably, I don't know, 150-foot slope to the water, and it was pretty steep. And you would hear them. They would go. One of them would go, oi, 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 hey, yeah, we yeah, oh, yeah. And then the other one would go, woo, yeah, oh, yeah. And it was just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And dude, you could have cut my throat. I wouldn't have bled a drop. I'm like, oh my God. I'm sitting here with a damn crossbow and a homemade ground blind on a little bitty stool, but crossbow hunting. And I'm like, I've got to get out of here. Oh my God. If they come in this field, I'm sitting on the damn ground. I've got a crossbow, which luckily in Alabama, you can carry a handgun for safety.
Oh,
and dude, I've done reached in and pulled out a 357 Magnum, and I've got the crossbow in the left hand, my 357 in the other hand. And I eased and stood up, trying to be as quiet as I could. These things were so close, just over that knoll. I'm 6'1", and I was afraid if I stood up to walk, they was going to see at least top of my head. So, dude, I basically duck walked about 15 feet into the grass, into this field, and I had to cut the corner of this field to get to the road that went out. Man, I stayed like bent over like a damn question mark, trying not to stand up to get across this field. The whole time they're back there like they're arguing back and forth. I mean, I listened to this for a couple of minutes.
They didn't know you were there, and you got out of there. You were able to
I got out of there. Yes, sir. I'm talking about, I wanted to be somewhere quick, fast, and in a damn hurry.
Click your heel. Oh, I want to go home. Oh, I want to go home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, so, yeah. That day I heard them, and what I heard, I don't know what language it is, but I heard 100%. I heard a language.
So what catches my attention is, so So like around Western New York, this area, and we're home with the Iroquois Indians and the Seneca. So all our town names, well, many of them, you can tell it's an Indian name. Like you say Canandaigua or towns like that. Your lips, you don't use your lips. The speaking is with the back of your throat,
Right.
the roof of your mouth. So all those sounds he was making, I noticed that his lips weren't meeting. The sounds come from your throat, like I say, Seneca, Cayuga. You know, your lips isn't how you're vocalizing, whatever.
Right. It comes from the back of your throat, you know, everything. Yeah.
Yep, using your tongue at the back of your throat, like that predator sound effect.
Yes. Yes. That's
You want to tell them about that? You know what? I'm gonna look it up and play it on this thing here.
okay.
Do we have time?
You were
Well, tell you what, maybe save it for your
Okay.
whenever you're on WoodWalkerz.
Okay.
Save some things.
Oh,
Hey.
I got plenty.
you had talked earlier. You had talked earlier about these things mimicking things,
Mhm.
and 100% they mimic all kind of things. And what always pops into my head when I hear them in the woods, when there's 100%, I know. Look, that's not an owl because that thing sounds like it weighs 1,000 pounds.
Yes.
And
Yep.
it's got a sore throat.
Oh yeah.
The horrible, interpretation of an owl. What always pops in my head, always makes me smile, is like, okay, there's the 1,000-pound Bigfoot see and say. It's like the old game that little kids play where they spin the duck and it whack, whack, whack. You touch on the cow and it moves. That's kind of what I always think about is 1,000-pound Bigfoot see and say.
Yep. And that's how our experience was. That's an owl. That's odd. The time's wrong. It's getting closer and closer. The more it did it, the worse it got. And it was complacent, like it's bored. Who?
Exactly.
Incredible. And that was one that was validating, that night that, we swear these things were doing it. And then heard Baron Kumbo talking about that. It's like, yeah, that's what happened. Yeah. And
me and Kumbo, myself, and Troy Allen were at Kumbo's farm probably 2 years ago. And we had walked out. We were going right over on the point, but we got out in his yard. And the very minute that we went out across this field by the booger tree, there was an owl, and it sounded horrendous. I mean, it was like the worst owl call ever.
Yep.
And I stopped, looked at Kumbo. I said, well, they know we came out. He's like, oh, yeah. Well, Troy's standing there, and he makes an owl call. In the exact way that Troy did his call, we got an answer. Well, then Kumbo did a different owl call, and it mimicked his. But I said, I want to try something. He's like, what? I said, look, I grew up crow hunting, and we would use either a crow and a hawk or a crow and an owl. I said, I'm going to do a hawk whistle. So I did a hawk whistle. Now, look, this is like midnight or later.
Right.
Everybody knows hawks do not whistle at night.
No.
All right. I did a really good hawk whistle, and just as soon as it quit echoing, we start getting hawk whistles back. Whichever one we chose to do, we would get that come back to us. And we stood there for 30 minutes just back and forth with these things. And like I said, if I chose to hawk whistle, they would hawk whistle. And whatever, if Kumbo done one like, that's what we got back. If they throwed another step in it, we got to just mixing it up. And exactly whatever we did is what we got back.
And back to why would they do this? To what benefit? It's their intelligence is something else. Or does that imply that you were kind of tricking them and maybe they did not have line of sight on one another and they think that they were supposed to be doing like a Marco Polo? Actually, that's when you do go into the woods to see if, wouldn't that be something if you go out there, Marco Polo.
Yeah, exactly. We get a lot of, there's thousands of reports of people talking about they go out in the woods and they hear their pets' names being spoken from the woods.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
things are mimicking the owners,
Yeah.
calling their pets.
I have it on audio. I have it on my YouTube channel. My name being called with my voice. I record it. And here's the craziest thing was the homeowner had come out because I had heard the house slap. And she comes out, "Do you hear that?" And what I was doing was documenting how high this window was, had my iPhone up on a tripod just because doing my due diligence. I failed to, on film, document how high these handprints were, just like this. This way I can kill two birds with one stone. This is what I'm drawing.
On the windows.
Yeah. And documenting that. And so it's like, well, I caught it. Go to play back the slap, where that cadence of that slap should be is not there. What is there in places? "Hey, Todd," with the same cadence, my voice, and it comes from the place where they always hit this house, plus with that power slap.
Yeah.
And so now at my business, my employees are getting their names called, and now they're getting their names called in their own voices. That's something I try to keep really separate. This is why I don't do a lot of Facebook stuff, because you can't. I don't want to hide my identity. It's just I deal with farmers, and they're very serious people, and it's a long-term relationship, and in person, I would talk to them about it, but so I try to keep a low profile on the Facebook because I don't know how to stay separate, especially with this AI stuff.
Yeah.
I got you. I know. Look, I know there's a lot of people that, I mean, you're risking a lot by coming forth, me included.
Because and the unaddressed elephant in the room with me the entire time is you as law enforcement, and being able to speak about this. I got a million questions for you on that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You look like I said, dude. You're gonna have to do some messaging, and we'll do some chatting, and I'll try to answer a lot of questions. And you're gonna be amazed at some of the things that we can tell you.
Yeah.
And Greg's got some stories.
I can only imagine. Oh, and just from the law enforcement side, I bet you got great stories.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes, he does.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know why stupid hurts? And I'm sure you know why. Because it really should.
That's exactly correct. That's the reason. Hey, look, the reason there's so many stupid people is because those damn warning labels.
Yeah. Yep.
If we take away warning labels, we wouldn't have so many stupid people.
Yeah.
That's right. And let people embrace the suck. It makes us better people at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I mean, I always figured that, that's the way you learn not to repeat doing stupid shits. When you got hurt, stupid
hurts.
Don't do it anymore.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. I mean, I even learn after several times.
After several times.
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't climb any pine trees there, Todd.
Yeah. I still don't learn.
Well, are we going? You getting ready to shut her down, or what?
Yeah.
What are we?
Yeah.
So I'll just share this real fast and be done with it.
Sure.
Show up. So this is the actual polycarbonate that was. So this one was actually over at the garage window, which hasn't been a typical surface, but they just put a hot tub in there. So of course,
they got to look.
Yep. So I'm trying not to get the reflection. I'm at least trying to show you
Yeah.
the
Yeah, you can make out the handprint and
okay.
everything.
See 'em?
You could see that nose. It does a swirl on the nose. It did it with their own fingers, and
Wow.
here was just kind of highlight, kind of like a key of where the strikes are for them to look. And I've collected so much sebum and DNA, and I've learned a lot of tricks of the collecting of that after the so they could through the prints themselves. So I'm good here. So I'm giving this all back to you guys.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to thank both of you for coming on, and it's been such a fantastic evening, and you guys are just great. I love you both. I truly do.
Well, we love you too.
Oh, thanks.
Yes. Yeah, I hope you know where you stand in my book, Mary. You're like top shelf up there.
Oh,
Yes, she is.
much appreciated.
Like that, buddy's mom.
Yes.
You are.
Yeah.
Yep. We need that matriarch.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to send out special prayers for the people in the path of the hurricane, and I feel for them, and all the damage that's to come, that has already happened and to come, and we'll find out tomorrow. Everything hopefully, but that, and I want you to keep myself, my sister, my sister-in-law, and families. I heard, I got notice during the podcast of a death in the family. So just keep us in your prayers.
Yes, ma'am. Will do.
We'll do it.
But thank you again. And you guys get together.
Absolutely.
I knew whenever I asked you, Greg, it was specific. I wanted you on to talk to Todd.
Oh, that's so cool.
And Todd, man, look, you've had me captivated. I think your stuff is awesome, dude. I mean,
so much coming from you guys, and I don't know. I'm like a squirrel that's found a nut. That's all.
Well, I mean that's pretty cool, and the way you come up to kind of entice these things to do something, man. That's thinking out the box.
Yeah, I guess it's not politically correct, but I was going to save myself. It's a special skill. Yeah, thinking outside the box. Absolutely, and it's what I do, and a lot of it's just goofing around, and you'd be amazed the response you get just goofing around.
I want to tell you something, and this is what I've been saying for several years now. Everybody's going high tech, high tech, high tech, high tech. And dude, I think there's a major thing being missed in going back old tech and just doing it a different way.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, these things pick up on the high tech stuff.
They do.
I agree.
Yep.
100%. I used to do the paranormal stuff way back when. That's a whole nother story. Accidentally got into that, and we all started going high tech, and after a while, it's just just low tech, and then you're not going to capture it. Just embrace the moment and the experience.
Well, God blessed us with the best equipment possible. Our own brains, our eyes, our ears, our senses. Use them. It's you'll get more results. You really will.
Yep, you will. I think some stuff we're not meant to experience, and then I tell you, still back to that blind camera shooting too, just at random. If you feel it in your heart, it crosses your mind.
Yes.
Take two of them over there, and just out of your. I had experience this weekend, different subject, shorten this up, but there's something to be still said about that with whatever it is that you're doing. And you got to take a series of them too to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, that's how I got that photo of the twins out in Oklahoma. Just random photos.
Yeah. Yep. And takes a lot of time.
It does. Well, guys, I'm going to shut it down.
Yes.
You have a great evening. Get in contact with each other.
I will. And Greg, what an honor it was to be on with you.
Oh,
Wow.
man. No, don't be too honored. I'm overwhelmed, dude. And Mary, once again, thanks so much for having me.
You're
And
welcome.
big everybody. And Mary, we we love you. So
Love you guys too.
Yep. Oh, I finally got an email.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Bring it over to the other side. There you go.
So it's just Bigfoot New York Todd at
All
Gmail.
right.
So now,
awesome.
Yeah, I finally got one. See how high tech I am.
Yes, you are. High-tech redneck.
Yes, I am.
All right, guys. Love you.
Take care.
We'll see everyone next week. Same time, same
Sounds
channel.
good. All right.
All right. Love you. Monkey Wench out.
All right. Bye.